Brad Garlinghouse gives the last address to end Swell. Brad Garlinghouse also gave us some important updates based on all of his interviews today. For you, I have the best clips. So let's get started right here. Okay, I would like to conclude by saying a few final and somewhat personal words about the journey, if you will, before I let you all go from Swell 2025. This is our ninth Swell, as I stated this morning. A few of you recall few individuals were present for any portion of this. In 2017, the idea of Swell emerged, and the reason we were unable to visit Sibos was the response to Swift. Some folks are unaware. The story is real. At Sibos, we were unable to obtain a space booth. We therefore concluded that this was in Toronto and that Sibos, the home of large banks, was the appropriate place to call it. We literally caused the disruption. We then proceeded down the street. It was a bit of a warehouse, and we held our own events there. Although it wasn't nearly as good as it is now, speakers like Ben Bernanke served as its fulcrum. And I believe Swift swiftly came to regret their choice, since, by evicting us, they made the monster even worse. 9 years later, the world seemed to have changed significantly. In this room with us are some of the largest financial institutions in the world, but it's not just them. The prime brokers are here. The ETF issuers, as we just covered, the investment banks, the application builders, and everyone else. Blockchain and cryptocurrency have evolved from being taboo terms to becoming ingrained in culture. To be clear, all of you are involved in this movement. Actually, this movement is you all. Thank you, then. I am incredibly thankful to have seen this fundamental change, as well as the evolution of the internet's financial layer. Although there is still much work to be done, if the discussions over the past 2 days have shown anything, it is that even if we have made great progress, we are all only beginning. Indeed. As I've mentioned before, this is a truly wonderful time to be alive, and I say this with a hint of humor. The financial infrastructure is being rewired right now. Things that were before impossible are now becoming possible. I firmly feel that this rewiring is a once-in-a-lifetime economic opportunity. The fact that Ripple has been at the forefront in lawsuits and many other areas makes me very proud. Thus, for more than 10 years, we have been at the forefront of transparency, compliance first, and the mission to support not just XRP but the industry as a whole. Being a member of the greater XRP community is, of course, an honor, and I feel incredibly fortunate to have had the opportunity to run this business. Okay, one last public service announcement before I let everyone have some beverages and nibbles. I'm thrilled to let you know that our 10th Swell will be a little different. Swell has a tendency to target the institutional audience, as you are well aware. We've held distinct events for developers, such as Apex. However, we are thrilled to broaden the scope of Swell beyond financial institutions, asset managers, and payment providers. However, invite the developers, investors, researchers, professors, and the larger XRP community, which has organized previous events. This will be the only Beacon event that Ripple hosts here in New York City the next year, and we hope to see you all there in the fall. Guys, we might receive an invitation to Swell. I hope we continue to grind, you know. We placed that on the list of things we want to get done. Next year, we might even have the interview with Brad. Well, we'll see. Oh my goodness, I hope this coverage of Ripple Swell has been enjoyable for all of you. In 2 days, I made, I don't even know, 15 videos for you all. Everything is leaking out. A lot of truly amazing topics are being discussed. Eleanor Tarrant and Crypto America conducted this interview early today. I believe I haven't included this specific footage in any of my films before, so allow me to play it for you. Thus, this will be a novel experience for you. What are your thoughts on this public market exposure and its effects? Ripple. Let me elaborate on the question a bit. I didn't pay attention to the first part you mentioned. Similar to treasuries of digital assets, have provided support. ETFs followed by the U.S. futures segment. I believe you were mentioning a minor drama which I know several of you were involved with. As an exchange in the secondary market, are you referring to the fact that I don't know you? No. I just had a question regarding Ripple's exposure to the public market. Do you consider that? All right. As a private firm, Ripple has decided to remain private, and as you may know, Raising funds is one of the main reasons why most businesses go public. We have not had to raise money. On the balance sheet, we have been in a great position to be able to execute anything from tender offers to our current shareholders to providing some liquidity and covering acquisitions. Getting public hasn't been a top priority because, well, how does... You know what? This individual is quite obnoxious. I will not play this clip at all. Okay, let's go on to this clip from that. In fact, here's Brad Garlinghouse discussing XRP during his interview. Let's move on from Brad's last remarks to a section of the Bloomberg interview when they discuss XRP in particular. However, I am ecstatic and somewhat returning to what I said before. These are genuinely the top financial actors and designers of financial dealing in the nation, possessing a citadel and a fortress. Therefore, I believe it is vitally important that they join us as partners and allies. And I'm overjoyed. It was a hectic year for the Ripple Corp dev team. What message does that provide to traditional finance and Wall Street? Pay close attention. Join the team. I mean, we discussed earlier today that more than half of U.S. financial institutions still have no exposure to cryptocurrency. There is just no possibility that that will be the case in a year. That number is just going to keep declining, and that's fantastic news because it will benefit the entire industry. Indeed, Coinbase is benefiting from that. Circle has tailwinds there. However, Ripple is also benefiting from it. That makes me really delighted. Okay, let's discuss XRP. What role does XRP play in your overall M&A plan? XRP is the foundation of what Ripple is doing, and I occasionally have to remind people of this. We are very concerned. It's been dubbed our North Star. Ultimately, though, we want to take actions that benefit the XRP ecosystem. Our goal is to increase XRP's credibility. In XRP, we wish to develop a utility. Additionally, we wish to increase XRP's liquidity. And we think that every acquisition we make will accomplish those goals in one way or another. However, it might not be. Some individuals might glance at it and think, I don't really scratch my head. I can assure you that we observe how we think things will develop in the three-dimensional game of chess. You know, we'll probably do some less obvious things and some more blatant ones. We're fine with it. Perhaps one benefit of being private is that I don't always have to defend myself to investors in the public eye. That's another reason why the IPO shouldn't happen anytime soon. However, some detractors may argue that the rapid pace of M&A is masking the reality that XRP's organic adoption hasn't yet reached its full potential. What are your thoughts about that? On the one hand, I understand. Furthermore, I would suggest that the primary use case for cryptocurrency is speculation, which presents a hurdle for the industry as a whole. How many scalable use cases of crypto have been proved to exist on any? It's absolutely true. Can you cite a blockchain? Regretfully, I do believe that over the next 5 to 10 years, the industry must live up to the promise of blockchain. In 5 years, do you think that will still be the case? No. In fact, I was on a panel at the IIF last week in Saudi Arabia. This was my FII. My main argument was that we are finally seeing more entrepreneurs and investors, in part due to regulatory clarity, and that this is quite similar to what occurred in the early days of the internet. The 1996 Telecom Deregulation Act gave investors and entrepreneurs clarity and structure, allowing them to enter the internet market. And sure enough, the money and entrepreneurs poured in, creating a dot-com boom. I believe that more institutions, more capital, and more entrepreneurs will emerge as regulations become more clear. Now let's look at XRP specifically. Do I believe we have opportunity to grow? Of course. However, 3 years ago, I would have said that there were literally 100 diverse and intriguing companies operating in various fields. On the consumer side, some even compete with Coinbase. We appreciate your support of the channel. I'll see you again soon.